They said he was done, they said he was past his prime, and moving to the red side was a wrong decision. But Lewis Hamilton had just put a reality check on all his haters and doubters, and finally, he's standing at the top of the podium at Barcelona. That's right, folks, it has finally happened, and in his 31st Grand Prix start for Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton has finally taken the red side to the victory, because finally he has won and ended the 2-year drought for Ferrari, which they have been facing, and they have faced a heavy backlash for that. And finally, it must feel so good for them to finally take a win in their corner. And obviously, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is standing at the top of the podium, wearing your color, smiling at you when the Italian national anthem is going on. What a great moment for F1 history books. And by doing so, Lewis has ended the dominant Mercedes stint of the season. Kimi won 5 races in a row. The first race went to George, but Lewis has ended that, and we can see Ferrari at the top, finding just a way to beat the very dominant Mercedes. And it's not just about the sentimental value. Because of the scorching heat in Spain, the track temperatures have just flipped the championship upside down, because earlier we saw that there was a massive gap between a Mercedes driver and the Ferrari at 2, but finally Lewis has closed that gap to very realistic target. Because even though you might say that, okay, we have seen what happened last year, right? There was a massive gap between Max and Piastri, but eventually he was able to close it. Norris was able to get the advantage of it. But yeah, anything can happen because the season is very long, and we're going to come back to Spain this year. Now let's talk about how Ferrari pulled this off, because it wasn't easy at all. In the scorching heat, Mercedes was very dominant early on. George was just flying off ahead of everyone else, but the tires were degrading. There was something happening behind the track, and there was something happening on the track, and Lewis took advantage of it. While every other team settled for a 2 pit stop strategy, the Ferrari took a chance, and Lewis was able to manage 3 stops. It was a massive gamble, because if Lewis didn't came off early in that pit exit, things could have ended very differently, because you never know. Because if you give someone like Russell with a Mercedes a lead of even 2-3 seconds, he might have done something different. But Lewis got that advantage. They planned it perfectly. Everything just fell rightly according to them, and it was like it was written in stars, because Lewis just came out 2 seconds ahead of Russell, and he was able to get that advantage. And especially with the new tires in, he had the fresher tires and the advantage over Russell. So obviously, with his experience, the 7-time world champion was never gonna let that race go. It was in his pocket. Around 20 laps were left, and people might say that, okay, Kimi and Russell fighting over it could have ended things differently for Mercedes. Maybe they could have crashed into each other. You never know. But yeah, Lewis took advantage of that. He increased that gap and eventually won with almost 20 seconds. So you could say that even if we cancel out that virtual safety car thing, Lewis won with a very significant margin, and you can't take anything away from him now. Alonso's Aston Martin broke down, and it gave Ferrari the perfect time to go for that 3rd tire change and gain momentum and extra speed over Russell in those final important moments of the race. While Lewis was having the time of his life, everything around him was complete chaos, because the 2 Mercedes was going at it. Both Kimi and Russell weren't giving each other any inch. Kimi was cutting in the inside line. Russell was, trying to trick him into doing something stupid. But eventually they had a great race up till Kimi faced a technical failure and his car just broke down. I think his fender was hit, and that was just disappointing, because he was having a great race, and with the amount of lead he has in the championship right now, even a P3 could have given him a very great advantage and some confidence to carry over to the next race. You have Silverstone coming, and it's not easy. You just want to take advantage. If you're a Kimi fan, you don't want things to go bad right now, because we have seen what happened to Piastri last year, right? It might seem that you're very ahead in the championship right now, but things can go south very quickly. So you want to grab hold of these situations. You want to take those P3s, P2s in races where you're not winning. You definitely don't want a DNF. I know Toto was there somewhere just biting his nails off, because seeing 2 of your drivers just so close, it pisses you off, because obviously you don't want to crash right now. Imagine that would have been so bad for Russell and Kimi if they crashed into each other, because they were very close. They were just going at it, weren't giving each other any chance to breathe. And Kimi was putting that pressure on Russell, right? And all credit to Lando, because he was putting that pressure on both the Mercedes that, boys, if you're going to fight each other, I'm just right behind and I'm going to take advantage of it. But at least one of the Mercedes driver was able to finish the race and get that P2, with Lando coming in at P3 because of the technical failure that Kimi faced. We got history made right in front of us, because ever since 1968, it was the first time since then that we have now an all British podium with Lewis at 1, George at 2 and Lando at 3. So English fans, you must be happy right now. With Kimi's DNF and Lewis finishing at P1, we have finally gotten an open championship right now, because the gap has significantly reduced down. Kimi didn't score any point and Lewis was able to manage 25 of them. So it's a great time right now to be a Ferrari fan, because at the end of the race, even Toto came out and said that I'm really happy for Lewis that he is finally able to achieve that dream. He made that difficult choice of moving to another team and he's finally winning in those red jerseys. So Toto even said that Lewis is now a serious threat to the championship, and honestly, I believe him, because given the form he's in, he's feeling himself and he is finally able to get that momentum and that confidence back in. I think the championship is about to go berserk, because it's on now. Lewis is on it. Kimi does have a massive advantage, but he's very young and it's very easy for him to mess things up right now. So someone's going to talk to him, probably Toto, that, okay, kid, listen, things are in your favor. You have to take advantage of this situation, because honestly, it might never come again. We saw what happened to Piastri. So yeah, the championship is totally open and it's going to be very interesting. We have some exciting race coming. Silverstone is just around the corner, and okay, if Lewis somehow wins the Silverstone, that's going to be a historic moment, especially in Ferrari. So the season just got interesting, because finally it's open now and Ferrari is posing a real threat to the Mercedes, and it's on now. Let's see who wins.